Good afternoon, everyone. We are Group 2, and today we are here to discuss about construction engineering and management.
So, what is CEM all about? Construction Engineering and Management, or CEM, is about applying technological and scientific expertise to the construction of infrastructure projects. Construction engineers manage construction projects, ensuring that they are scheduled and built in according with plan and specifications. These engineers typically are responsible for the design and safety of temporary structures used during construction. They may also oversee budgetary, time management, and communications aspects of a project. Although design, construction management, and engineering focuses on overseeing the actual construction, CEM also represents a mixture of both disciplines, bridging designs and management or execution of projects. At both undergraduate and graduate levels, construction engineering managers can have an educational history and as well as experience in construction management techniques. So, who are the professionals involved in construction management? They are the project manager, design manager, quantity surveyor, construction scheduler, and the contract manager. So, let's watch a video to know deeper about each of their roles in construction management.
Ever looked up at a skyscraper and wondered who built this? An architect? An engineer? A builder? Well, yeah, all of these people play a role in designing and constructing a building. A project like this needs a team of hundreds of people, and like any great team, they need a leader. In fact, a project this huge needs a whole team of leaders. Let me introduce you to a few of them. Let's say a property developer has already selected the site and decided that it's ideal for a brand spanking new skyscraper.
Yeah.
Where do we start? Call in the bulldozers and start preparing the site? Pour the concrete? Hold on, this is a huge project. We need to do a little planning first. So we've appointed Kim as Senior Project Manager, the leader of our team of leaders. Kim's got years of experience in this game. She'll map out the whole process from start to finish. Who else? Well, there's Max, our design manager, who works with the architect and the engineer to design the perfect building. It's got to be beautiful, it's got to be functional, it's got to be really, really tall, and it's got to stay up. Max is pretty important. Without him on board, we could end up with a really dodgy building. Max gives the plans to Jamie, our quantity surveyor. He figures out how much it's all going to cost. It takes a huge pile of cash to build something on this scale. But without Jamie keeping an eye on the bottom line,
How you doing?
it could take a massive pile of cash. Jamie works closely with Steve, the construction scheduler.
Hi.
Steve's job is to figure out how long everything's going to take. Like, if it takes 10 workers 2.5 years to build a 20-storey building, how long will it take 50 workers to build a 120-storey building? Never mind. Let's just say that without Steve it will take a really, really long time. What next? Don't we need some cranes and bulldozers? How about a plumber, painter and an electrician? We sure do. That's why Amy, our contract manager, is organising all the contractors, the people who do all the hands-on stuff.
Hi.
Without Amy, well, not much would happen at all. Now we're ready to get started. Bring on the bulldozers, pour the concrete, and lay the footings. Up go the columns, in go the slabs, on goes the cladding, and that's pretty much it. We just need to connect the utilities, paint a few walls, tile some floors, and voila. One skyscraper delivered right on schedule. That last bit can take quite a while, anywhere between a few months and 2 years actually. But don't worry, Kim was keeping an eye on things the whole time, making sure everyone did their job safely. Without her, who knows where we could have ended up. What do you think? Want to join this exciting team? Perhaps you're cut out for a career in construction management. The perks? Well, the prospects are great. In 2010, 96% of our University of Newcastle students were employed on graduation. And how about a graduate salary of $50,000 to $80,000? But what do Kim, Max, Jamie, Amy and Steve love best about their jobs? At the end of the day, they get to say, I built this.
I am here to discuss the importance of construction engineering and management. What construction engineers do. Construction engineers manage and develop construction plans, oversee the range of each project, and ensure that the standards in the construction project are properly maintained. Having well-trained and experienced engineers is important because they evaluate the conditions of each project they tackle, and they provide information about the construction projects such as the design team, finances, and work schedule. Construction engineering and management provide students with strong leadership and communication skills training and team building skills training. Complex learning materials such as mathematics, science, and engineering are also provided to enable their abilities such as data interpretation and analysis, formulating and solving engineering problems, and designing a system or process. Construction engineering management also enables students to become professional in their field and to achieve ethical responsibility.
Educational attainment. How many years are required for a bachelor's degree? The Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering, BSCE, is a 5-year degree program in the Philippines that is concerned with the use of scientific and mathematical principles in the construction of buildings and infrastructures. So, is it required to have a master's degree to be considered as a construction engineer? A master's degree isn't required to work in the engineering field, but it helps you stand out against other job applicants. If you want to engage in important projects or obtain a higher job position, a master's in engineering is a good next. Is there a required year of experience in the field in order for a construction engineer to hold a huge project? If you are applying for a graduate role in engineering, it will greatly help your career prospects if you have gained work experience during a year in industry or summer placement. Some employers offer sponsorship and a job offer to students who have impressed them during work experience.
Construction engineers mainly engage in quality control and assurance, building and site layout surveys, and on-site materials testing. As construction engineers, it is their duty to understand and be familiar with the materials that are used in construction. It is one of the most important tasks of engineers to select the most suitable material for a given structure. So there are two classifications of engineering materials. One is phase classification and the other is internal structure and chemical composition classification. So under phase classifications are your typical solids, liquid, and gases. So examples of gases are air, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide. Liquids that are chemical admixtures and water. And solids like metals, wood, and hardened concrete. So in addition to this classification is your semi-solids, or sometimes known as semi-liquids or quasi-solids. So these are aqueous materials that does not hold its shape like a solid but also does not flow like a liquid. Examples are like asphalt and mortars. So we will move to internal structure and chemical composition classification. So under it are metals. So these are substances characterized by high electrical and thermal conductivity as well as by malleability, ductility, and high reflectivity of light. So examples are iron, aluminum, steel, and copper. Then you have your polymers. So these are materials made of long repeating chains of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen molecules that are formed through covalent bonding. So examples are rubber, plastic, asphalt, and wood. So we also have ceramics. These are inorganic, non-metallic solids that are made up of either metal or non-metal compounds that have been shaped and then hardened by heating to high temperatures. So examples are porcelains, bricks, and tiles. And we also have composite materials. These are formed by combining materials together to form an overall structure with properties that differ from that of the individual components. So the individual components remain separate and distinct within the finished structure. differentiating composites from mixtures and solid solutions, like the concrete and plywood. And lastly, we have reinforced composite materials, which are materials that comprises high strength additive included with the virgin resin. The additive is usually glass, carbon, or Kevlar fiber. So examples of reinforced composite materials are reinforced concrete, reinforced plastics such as fiberglass. Next, we also have the different types of substances being used in construction. These are naturally occurring substances and man-made substances. So, under naturally occurring substances are mud and clay. So, clay-based materials, buildings, usually come in two distinct types. One being when the walls are made directly with a mud mixture, and the other being walls built by stacking air-dried building blocks called mud bricks. So we also have sand. It is used with cement and sometimes lime to make mortar for masonry work and plaster. Sand is also used as a part of the concrete mix. So we also have stone or rock. It is the longest lasting building material available and is usually readily available. This material is very dense, so it gives a lot of protection. Its main drawback is as a building material is its weight and the difficulty of working it. So we also have thatch. It is another word for grass. Grass is a good insulator and easily harvested. This material is considered to be one of the oldest of building materials ever known. And lastly, we also have wood and timber. So this material has been used as a building material for thousands of years in its natural state. Today, engineered wood is becoming very common in industrialized countries. Wood is a product of trees, while timber is the term used for construction purposes. So next, we will move to the man-made substances. So under it is cement. It is a binder, a substance used for construction that sets, hardens, and adheres to other materials to bind them together. Cement is seldom used on its own, but rather to bind sand and gravel together. And next is concrete. It is a composite building material made from the combination of aggregate and a binder such as cement. The most common form of concrete is Portland cement concrete, which consists of gravel, sand, Portland cement, and water. We also have fabrics. So it is a material made through weaving, knitting, spreading, felting, stitching, crocheting, or bonding. Tents are common structures that utilizes this material. And glass. Glass is generally made from mixtures of sand and silicates. We also have metals. So metals are used as structural framework for larger buildings such as skyscrapers or as an external surface covering. Plastics. These are typically organic polymers of high molecular mass and often contain other substances. These materials are usually synthetic. And lastly, ceramics. So these materials generally, these materials are hard, corrosion resistant, and brittle.
At this juncture, I'm going to talk about the must-have hard skills for a competent construction engineer. So every construction engineer must possess a high level of technical skills to carry out construction projects, and these skills are such follows. So first and foremost, a construction engineer must have a good mathematical skills because the principles of mathematics are applicable to the day-to-day duties and routines of a civil engineering career. A construction engineer needs to have a thorough understanding of algebra, calculus, trigonometry, and geometry. It can also be helpful in the overall estimation of the bills and costs of the construction project. Next is that they must be computer literate. An engineer must be skilled in design techniques and working with maps, drawings and models by using CAD software. So they utilize computer modeling programs to develop simulation for structural design and test the load capacity before the finalization of project blueprints. Additionally, they must be good in structural analysis since they perform quality checks on all new constructions after initial framing to ensure that structural integrity levels were sufficient to continue in the construction process. So they make sure that everything is well according to plan. Moreover, it is also important for them to possess a good data modeling skill since they gather data and create models, so they must be able to analyze those data to draw conclusions which can then be applied to practical work for the construction project. Furthermore, it is a construction engineer must be familiar with the standard codes used in construction. So every country has its standard safety specification for construction related works. So all new construction should be done by following all the rules and procedures mentioned in the standard codes. Otherwise, the chances of failure of the structure will always be high. So this is in line with the on-field management of a construction engineers that they need to make sure that the workers are following the safety measures, etc., because it is a key aspect in their work as well. And lastly, is they must have a commitment in their education since it is a dynamic process of learning in the field of work. So they are required to attend conferences with industry leaders or participate in seminars or lectures about the new methods of performing daily responsibilities to increase personal and company productivity. So a continued education helps to ensure them to commit minimal mistakes in the future due to using outdated tools or methods. So that's pretty much it for the hard skills needed for a construction engineer. So I'll give the floor to the next reporter. Thank you.
Soft skills needed for a construction engineer. First up, leadership skills. This involves being able to plan and prioritize, manage time effectively, delegate duties when necessary, make decisions with confidence, authority, and motivate members of the team. Second, oral communication skills. This entails able to listen to clients, officials, team members, and other skilled workers in order to grasp their concerns and requests effectively. Third, writing communication skills. Civil engineers at all levels need to be able to communicate in a clear and concise way through written reports and correspondence. They work with other specialists from diverse backgrounds such as architects, town designers, municipal planners, and other technicians and traders. Fourth, decision making. When making decisions, a civil engineer must consider the available information, conflicting objectives of different stakeholders, professional ethics, financial responsibilities, and safety concerns. Lastly, organization skills. This entails being able to listen to clients, officials, team members, and other skilled workers in order to grasp their concerns and requests effectively. Also, necessary for civil engineers when explaining complex technical information to the people they work and interact with.
There are many misconceptions about construction engineers. Here are some of them. Firstly, construction engineering is not male dominated. The construction engineering industry is not primarily populated by men. In fact, a lot of female students pursue this career path and many have become some of the most successful. Furthermore, construction engineers don't always travel. The stereotype that construction engineers always travel is untrue. Though this field of work requires travel, it is not a job that requires constant field work. Engineers also certainly aren't introverts. There is a stereotype that construction engineers are nerdy and often don't know how to interact with people. This is false. Construction engineers are often required to be outgoing in order to work properly in the work environment. Construction engineers are important individuals in our society, but the most important point in being a construction engineer is being able to provide society with safe infrastructures, and that requires knowledge of mathematics, science, and engineering to analyze problems and design the construction process.
So how much is the salary of a construction engineer? The experience level is the most important factor in determining the salary. Naturally, the more years of experience, the higher your wage. An early career of a construction engineer with 1 to 4 years of experience earns an average total compensation, includes tip, bonus, and overtime pay of 287,500 pesos based on 16 salaries. A mid-career construction engineer with 5 to 9 years of experience earns an average total compensation of 330,563 pesos based on 7 salaries. What are the possible careers of a construction engineer? So a construction engineer is a type of civil engineer who plans, directs, and supervises large construction projects. Most construction engineers specialize in a specific type of project, such as commercial buildings, heavy highways like bridges, tunnels, and underground wastewater plants, and also mechanical systems or electrical. Construction engineers operate as a part engineering expert, part project manager, and part business manager. They creatively serve as a leader and middleman on construction projects to make sure everything about the project is safe, smooth, and structurally sound. Construction engineers usually work full-time and may work longer 12-hour shifts 7 days per week if they need to travel to a remote location to monitor project progress.